Gamers, welcome to a different kind of video. I want to talk about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. I was very excited for this movie, which is kind of funny to me because when I started watching Demon Slayer years ago, this is back when it was like somewhat new. I remember thinking it was a very generic story. I didn't really have anything that was gripping. The art I was kind of like torn on. There was stuff that was really good about the art, don't get me wrong, about the animation and all that, but there was just something I couldn't put my finger on that I just couldn't really get into visually. But that kind of changed later on because eventually I went back for the Mugen Train movie, which was okay. It was a very good movie. And then I saw the entertainment arc, which was great. That is probably my favorite arc in Demon Slayer out of all of them. It's a very, very good story. I really like the entertainment arc way more. Then there was the Swordsmith Village, which, this one was. I don't know about the villains of Swordsmith Village. I was kind of like, I don't know, like it kind of got exhausting at points where it's like, okay, oh, they fought him. Okay, now he's gonna be this. Okay, can this just like it just kind of I kind of like lost my patience with it. So I didn't really love Swordsmith Village. I think the only thing I liked about it was this is gonna sound very whatever, but I liked a lot of the Mitsuri Kenroji stuff. I liked her sword. I liked her fight scenes. I liked a lot of stuff that dealt with her. She was a very cool character, but the villains I really couldn't care. It was just like, okay, like, yeah, the one the demon that was like in the jar or whatever that did water stuff. I was like, shut up. Like I just didn't want to hear this dude talk anymore. So that was kind of disappointing. But the worst one, in my opinion, the worst arc of all, is the Hashira training camp. Okay, so by the time I was watching the Swordsmith Village arc, I was kind of wrapping up the manga because I was also reading the manga as well. Uh, so when we got to the Hashira trading arc, I kind of was like, oh, this is gonna be lame because I started wondering. Well, the thing is with the Hashira training arc, when I was watching the season, I was very curious to see where it was gonna end. I mean, I kind of feel like the obvious ending was gonna be leading into the Infinity Castle, which is like the safest bet. But I was just like, but are they gonna end on something that strong of a cliffhanger? Like the Hashira training arc, honestly, is such a nothing story. It's just train. Like you only get good backstory on the Hashira that I think is blind, and that's it. Like I think that's like the only highlight of that arc. But other than that, it is the most boring arc to watch. I mean, at least when I was reading the manga, it's like I know there's a finish line at the end, so it's not like, oh, I'm gonna have to like read and wait for new chapters. It's like, okay, well, I know I can get through this to get to the end. And the in the manga, it kind of got to the end very quickly. I think. I just remember reading the Hashira training arc, and it's like, okay, whatever. And then it just gets to like the Infinity Castle. It's like, oh, we're here. That's crazy. I can't believe like we're nearing the end of Demon Slayer when I was reading it. Uh, but man, the Hashira training camp, whatever, is garbage. Like that is probably the only arc I think is pretty bad. But I would say, like, since, obviously Demon Slayer is, like, finished, the story's done, I would tell people, like, hey, just power through it. Like, you have the finish line is right around the corner. Like, if the Hashira training arc, I will say, if that was, like, in the earlier parts of Demon Slayer, it's, like, I don't know, because, uh, I'm not a huge fan of training arcs. Like, it's just, I just want to, like, do something or I want to see something in the show or whatever. So I was very curious to see where the show is gonna end, and it ended where the Infinity Castle was starts. Then we heard about the movies, and this is what I was kind of like wondering because at this point I think I finished reading Demon Slayer. And I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do a movie. Obviously, I think they said it was gonna be three parts, so it wasn't gonna be in one movie, which is good, I guess, obviously. But I was like, I don't know if they're gonna be able to fit everything with this setup. But I have to say, the first movie kind of quenched my worries, because not only was it a solid movie that fit everything, it was a 2 hour movie. Like I went in thinking, oh, okay, this is gonna be like an hour and like 20 minutes, an hour 30 minutes, whatever. I look at the ticket, and it's like runtime 2 hours and something minutes. I was like, wow, that is crazy. Like every anime movie I've seen is like very short, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be a 2 hour feature, and it earns it, obviously. Like, usually when you see a long movie, it's like it has to earn the runtime. This definitely earns the runtime, and I have seen so many people criticize this movie as, oh, it has too many flashbacks, and I kind of think that these people miss the point of Demon Slayer. Like they're not fans of Demon Slayer. Like that's the only way it makes sense, because the whole thing that I'm going to get into a lot of the criticism I have for Demon Slayer in general, but one of the things that I really liked about Demon Slayer, and this is something I kind of like realized over time, and it kind of hit me like the other day. I think I was very, early on when I was watching it, reading it, I kind of didn't think much about the characters. But, when I was watching it, I started realizing, this is probably one of the few animes I've watched, I'm going to make that clear, where Demon Slayer actively utilizes the characters very well, and the characters are very interesting and very well integrated into the story and the action. I mean, the only criticism I think I've seen some people bring up is uh, Mitsuri's whole thing with love is not really interesting, because you have like fire breathing, lightning breathing, thunder breathing, water breathing. You have all these other kinds of elemental breathing techniques, and you get to hers, and it's like, oh, it's love. It's I get that, but I do kind of, it works for the character, and I think it kind of makes it more interesting. I kind of like these silly characters more and more. Like, before I probably would have like just not cared for this character, early on, but I kind of started to like these characters that are more like silly and whimsy, I guess. I don't know. It's just very, very different and unique. But I ended up liking that character a lot more over time, whatever. But I think the high point of Demon Slayer has always been the characters, and that's really true with the demons, except for Muzan, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, the whole point, you see these demons as when they were human, and the issues and conflicts they went through, and then you saw why, what happened when they turned into a demon, and this and that. Like the best story that really encapsulates that whole thing, before the movie, is the brother and sister characters in the entertainment district arc. That story is so good. I really love that whole thing. It was very like dramatic and fucked up. So I really liked that. You get to the movie, and you watch Akusa. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. The dude who killed the Flame Hashira guy. He has a really good backstory. I really liked his backstory. I liked it in the manga. I was like, oh, this is really, really fucked up and like heartbreaking, and it hit me again in the movie. It's like, damn, man, like this is crazy. So I really enjoyed just the backstory of the demons. So when people are like complaining about the flashbacks, it's like you're missing the point of Demon Slayer. Like, I think it's very easy to like focus on, you're fighting demons and we gotta get to Muzan. What's gonna happen with Nezuko? But it's like, the demons are just as important as the main characters. So I do think that them having these flashbacks is very warranted, especially with Shinobu, which I liked her whole thing. I liked her in the manga. It was cool. I will say I still don't know how I feel about her the animation in her fight scenes with the rank 2 demon. I can't remember his name either. Uh it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but it I don't know how I feel about it because there are moments where it's like really cool, like the beginning of it where he's like taunting her or whatever, and then she just immediately stabs him in the eye. Like that was such a like that scene got an audience reaction. Like I was in the theater, it was a packed theater by the way. Uh the moment she like just moved to stab him, I just heard the whole crowd like, oh, and it was just like crazy. But after that, it kind of became just shake the camera and watch the character just dodge attacks. And again, I don't know how I feel about it because it makes sense for the kind of fighting style that Shinobu does. She has a lot of insect techniques, so it works. It works for what they're trying to do. It's just a very, I don't know. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll have a better opinion of it. But it didn't like take me out of the movie or anything. The flashback though, I don't know if they changed it for the movie, but I kind of feel like it was more impactful in the manga. I just remember reading the manga, and I felt more out of it, but I will say at the same time, I might be conflating uh the fight with Shinobu and him and the other girl that fights him after Shinobu gets absorbed. Like I might be conflating these two things. Because I just remember like the flashback was like I really ended up liking that a lot, like that character a lot more. But it was still an overall great scene. I do like the flashback overall, but I don't know how I feel overall. I have to see the second part, I guess. I will say I watched this movie dubbed. Yeah, I'm a dubber. If they only had it in subbed, I would have watched it subbed. Don't worry, I would have done it anyway. But I watched it dubbed because I watched the whole show dubbed. So I was like, oh, I'll stick with it. Uh, the dub was great. I think the voice actress for Shinobu was Erica. She did On in Persona 5. Great job as Shinobu. She does a really good job with the energy and the emotion that Shinobu goes through during those fight scenes. Surprisingly, everyone was probably memeing Channing Tatum being in Demon Slayer. I thought he was really good for the character that he played. He played a very specific character that I think was kind of made for him almost. Like if he was like a serious character, I would have been like, oh, I don't know about this man. But it worked for the character he was casted for. But everyone else is great. Sadly, I'm a huge Kira Buckland fan. I loved her in JoJo when she played Jolene. I liked her in a lot of the other stuff I've seen her in. But I liked her as Kenroji, but you don't really see much of her. And in general, this arc, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love it in the sense that I do think that it leads to a very good end for the most part. But I do think that some characters just kind of get nothing burgers, and uh, Kenroji is like the perfect embodiment of that. Like, if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, by the way, but I don't think she does anything. I think constantly she's being saved by the snake guy. Sorry, I can't remember names. Okay, sorry, but that guy keeps saving Mitsuri in this arc, and I was like thinking like. I wish he did more than just like need help. Like do something more. I think she does a little bit more like at the very end, but when you're still in the Infinity Castle, I don't think she does much, which is like my only real bummer in that arc. But other than that, back to the movie. It's paced very well. I think the flashbacks serve a very good purpose to be like kind of like a breather. And I do like that because this was what was bothering me in the manga was that I just kind of wished that it stuck with a fight until it was done. It's like, okay, we read like 3 chapters about this. I want to like kind of get back to the action or whatever. I want to move forward with something. but I think for the movie, it works really good, and I think it helps space out like these multiple plots that are going on. I think the only criticism I would have is some fights is kind of like it's hard. It's hard because again, you don't really know how to balance this, I guess. But uh, Shinobu doesn't really get a proper ending to that fight. She gets eaten, and then I can't remember that girl's name, but she shows up, and she just stands there, and then that's it. Like you don't really see anything. You just see like images of it, but you don't really see her fighting. You just see her standing there, and it's like I don't know. Did we really need these scenes? But then again, you're gonna be probably asking what's going on there, and it's not bad, but it's a weird like balancing act, and I kind of feel like that in some cases it would work better as a show, but I do think that as a movie it's much more gratifying because I don't know how many people are gonna be willing to sit through multiple episodes of of backstories when you can just watch the movie and you get everything like right there. It's not bad, but it made me just wonder a little bit more about the structure of the final arc. A little bit. Like I kind of feel like there was too much going on. Usually with manga, and this is very true for like Jujutsu Kaisen and Undead Unluck, but you can kind of tell that by in a lot of manga, like near the end is kind of when like the publisher or whatever is saying finish it up, chop chop, and then it's just a mad dash to the finish line, and that is kind of uh I think the problem with this final arc. They just kind of crammed all these high ranking demons into it, and it's like, yeah, this is like really rough. It's fine overall, but you could definitely tell that at some point they were like, okay, you need to finish the story. The worst one is honestly Jujutsu Kaisen, but that's a story for another day. Uh, so it's hard. This final arc I think is gonna be very tricky, and I'd be very curious to see if they're gonna stick the landing. Because I remember when I was reading it, I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, this is a very disappointing ending. Demon Slayer is a terrible story." Uh, I I kind of disagree. I thought the ending was great. The only part of the ending I didn't like was this chapter where it's like in modern day. That felt like pure fan fiction. Like it's like okay, this did not need to be like presented, but it felt more like a bonus. Like oh yeah, by the way, here's this. Isn't this cute? And that's kind of it, which is fine. It was like right at the end of the manga, so it's like yeah, it's who cares? It serves its purpose. But as far as the main story is concerned, I remember liking it because I thought it was like a good compromise of of really just how taxing the threat really is. Now I've seen some people criticize Muzan as not a very good villain. I do kind of agree. I think Muzan has a lot of good ideas. There's a lot of good ideas in Demon Slayer that are really, really good. But I kind of don't know how I feel about Muzan. I don't know if they go back to his backstory in the final arcs, but I never quite understood his backstory all that much. Like I think he had some kind of sickness. They then are like, okay, well, we're gonna give you this demon blood, whatever, and that's gonna help you, but you're just not gonna be able to go out in the sun anymore, and whatever. And then he became a demon, and then he wants to kind of like embrace the sunlight, so whatever. And it just made me wonder. It's like, okay, so like if he became a demon, was there a demon before him that was like a bigger demon? Like what happened to that? Like what happened to the hierarchy? Like are all these demons like before Muzan became a demon? Like I kind of was racing with more questions that the show the manga doesn't really answer. But whatever. You had that other demon that had six eyes or whatever. That kind of shares a lot of design language with Tanjiro, and I don't think the manga really made any strong connection other than like I think that guy was in the same village with Tanjiro's dad or something like that, and that was it. I'm more curious to see if how the movie's gonna portray that and make me jog my memory. But I just remember that was being the only connecting thread. There was nothing else. It's not like, oh, Chandra was his actual son, or whatever. So I felt like that Demon Slayer kept hinting at something with that, and it didn't really go anywhere as far as I remember. But that's like my overall criticism of Demon Slayer. Like, I think Demon Slayer overall is a very good story in a manga and in anime. I think the characters are very well written. I love the characters. It's just nearing the end. It's very hit or miss, and I think I'm more forgiving of the final arc because it is an actual enjoyable arc, be it feels a little rushed. It is still a blast to kind of watch. I love the flashbacks. I love the animation in the movie. The other thing I will bring up, speaking of the crowd interaction, uh, it got a little ridiculous. Like, it got to the point where they keep chopping demons' heads off. Like, with Akuza or whatever, they slice his head in half. He's able to like put his head back together and continue. Everyone at every single time was like, oh, oh, and then it just goes on, and it just felt like there was a slight disappointment. Like, they slice his head, and then he just continues. It's like, oh. And I was just like, dude, these people are demons. Like, they can regenerate, whatever. So it was very funny that I just kept hearing people like gasping, like in excitement, to then just be like, to just silence immediately. The other thing I will say, this bothers me. This is a little theater rant bullshit area, but I was sitting. I Now when I'm sitting there, I'm in the middle of the uh row, right? Because this was a big screen. This was not like the standard screen. I made sure to get a nice screening. But I was sitting there. I saw people on my right coming in, and these people like looked just like huge fans. Like, they were all in costume, which is fine. I'm not dogging on this. What I was afraid of is that these people were gonna start like doing like commentary to the anime or something. And I was like, oh, I hope they don't do like uh memes or whatever. But I was like, whatever. Maybe like I'm overthinking it. I have these two people on my left that look like normal people. Like, they're not even cosplaying. It almost is like one of them just kind of is there just for the sake of it, almost. But throughout the whole movie, I couldn't hear exactly their commentary, but the stuff I was hearing was dumb shit like, "Oh yeah, you would be a good movie." Oh, and it was then just whispering and mumbling, and it was so distracting. I almost wanted to tell them to shut up. There was one instance they said something that egged on the other people on my right to say something, and I was just like, oh, don't tell me that now they're gonna start doing shit. But it wasn't. They just said like some one thing, and then it moved on. Nothing else was uttered from them. They enjoyed the movie. These two, I will say, was kind of funny. I think the guy that was sitting right next to me, the person next to him, looked like his dad or someone older than him that was a huge fan of Demon Slayer. Like, he was like just saying, "Oh yeah," he kept explaining. I think what it was he kept telling him stuff about the story so he could be caught up. Which, look, if you're going to a movie, especially one that's like, this is the end, this is the finale, why bring him? Like, at that, because like, okay, I brought a friend of mine to see Ava Rebuild 3.0 plus 1.0. But before you say, Theo, you're a hypocrite, before you say that, I did not tell him anything. I did not tell him like, oh, actually, man, this is the third impact. So Shinji, I didn't like tell him this stuff. I was like, okay, just watch it. And then at the end of the movie, he was asking me questions about like, okay, so like where were they like at the end? Like, what was that? It was like, okay, like like that makes sense at least. At least it's like watch the movie, ask questions later. They were doing it as the movie was going. I was just like, what was the point? Like, there are probably YouTube videos that you could have shown him, whatever. And honestly, I don't think that guy gave a fuck. He was just sitting there. He looked bored out of his mind. The other guy was just like, oh yeah, demons, yeah, okay. So Muzan's doing this, okay. Oh, then he got up to refill his popcorn, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, refilling popcorn is fun. I'm not one to leave. The movie. Once I'm watching it, I stay there. Even if I have to go to the bathroom, it's like if I really gotta go. Otherwise, I just sit there and try to watch it to the end because I don't like getting up and doing all that. I want to see the whole thing. So whatever. It wasn't him getting up wasn't a big deal. It's just the constant talking, and I just I just sat there. I was like, you're watching the final movie and you bring someone who's never seen it, presumably, to like maybe he did watch it, but it didn't sound like he did because I swear that dude was telling him about the whole thing, which is like why uh but that was it. It wasn't terrible. I'll be honest. I'm being a little bit over dramatic, but uh, it it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of like there was a scene I think during the Shinobu stuff that I was very like I wanted to listen to, and they kept talking through it, and that did kind of piss me off. It's like I'm trying to like listen to this, and this is like kind of mumbling in my ear. It's just like whatever. Uh, Again, I don't mind some talking, like again, if it was like here and there, whatever. But it was just like almost every scene, and it was like even scenes I wanted to listen to, they were talking. It's like, come on. But other than that, like that really wasn't terrible. But it was just like, come on. I'm watching the movie. I paid a ticket. But whatever. But it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. And Demon Slayer it's a good manga. I do recommend it. Again, my all-time favorite arc is the Entertainment District. I think that's like peak Demon Slayer. The one thing I will bring up about the movie before I close the video, I did like the Zenitsu stuff. I never liked that character. Uh, it kind of felt like they didn't know what to do with this character, to be completely honest. At first, I thought this was going to be a typical anime trope character that's just annoying, the Teddy style character, but they didn't really do that. The most that they did was like he had a crush on Tanjiro's sister, but that's like whatever. But it wasn't like anything annoying. But this movie, I liked his little arc with his the other guy that trained under the same thunder style. I love the twist where they just straight up say that oh, this guy mastered thunder breathing to all the other techniques but the first one. He doesn't even know the basics. He's so weak. And Zenitsu like can only master the basics. He only mastered the first form. And I kind of liked that dynamic where it kind of is like, hey, Zenitsu is actually like more proficient. It's just he doesn't know these other techniques, but this other guy does knows these other techniques, but not the basics. Like it kind of highlights that uh gap in skill basically, and I liked what they were going with there, to the point where I mean, it wouldn't have worked if Zenitsu was the main character, to be honest, because how often do you want to watch a dude just say thunderclap or whatever the fuck, right? Like, it would just be a little redundant. But it was I do like that whole conflict. And I kind of think that maybe there could have been an interesting story of just those two characters being like the main hero and the main antagonist or something. But whatever. Overall, the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, I'd give it a perfect 10 out of 10. The animation is great. I think the animation really made this movie uh go work for me. I really enjoyed watching it. And it was 2 hours and it felt like it just flew by. So I highly recommend if you're a Demon Slayer fan. If you haven't seen if you haven't seen the show, I would recommend the show. Uh, I don't think you'd be like super lost. Like it wouldn't be like going to the final Ava movie and then trying to piece together what happened. But I think you're not gonna appreciate some of the stuff. There's like one thing that was kind of weird, which makes sense if you watch the story with the whole thing with Muzan. But overall, it's still a great movie. If you've seen the show, go ahead and check it out. It's great. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with the next two movies. Again, I think it's a three-parter, not a two-parter. If it's a two-parter, I that would be even more crazy. I want to say it's a three-parter, but I don't remember. Uh, but that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.